So, a few days ago, we had a pretty disappointing Nintendo Direct. Um, I've been wanting to kind of record a video on it for the last few days, and I had a script written out and everything, but the more I look at it, the more I realize that I really just needed to talk about the points that I had without even trying to write them down. So it's a little bit kind of off the top of my head, but I don't know what that was from Nintendo. And I know everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, it's just another guy who's disgruntled, doesn't really like dealing with all the waits and the lack of Nintendo bringing back their franchises and stuff like that. Um, we had more third party games than anything. It's basically the Square Enix Switch at this point. Octopath 2 kind of looked neat. I mean, there's a few things that are like, I'm still excited for, but for the most part, we didn't really get anything. And I had like zero hope going into it, zero optimism that we're going to get anything really coming out of it. And then Pikmin 4 was announced with a very unrealistic date. They're trying to push it for sometime in 2023. We got a shorter trailer than the Elder Scrolls 6 announcement. So if it's anything like how they've handled Breath of the Wild 2, which is no longer called Breath of the Wild 2, then I don't really think we're going to see that next year. Um, Now I know the Nintendo fan base is basically just a dog that keeps running back looking for food and it just gets kicked every single time, hoping that we might just get one morsel every single time we go back. And I'm starting to think that Nintendo knows this because they give us things like Pikmin 4, um, the Metroid Prime 4 Troll, um, just a whole bunch of really ridiculous stuff. The one thing that I don't know, felt like a little bit of catch up for me was, or like Nintendo playing catch up for me was GoldenEye. GoldenEye's coming out to the Game Pass and like the Xbox Game Pass. And I don't know, a bunch of people that I know, the Switch is not their preferred platform. They'll play games on the Switch, but if if they have a choice of something else, they're gonna go with something else. So I feel like at this point, Nintendo's just trying to give some competition to it. And while it's good that GoldenEye is coming back to a Nintendo console, um, it just doesn't feel like it belongs on the Switch. And I don't think the people that were against the Switch Online expansion are going to be going out there just to get it if they have an option like Game Pass to play it on. Um, the amount of remasters and ports as well was just pretty ridiculous. Speaking of remasters, um, this one I do have a list for, but like Tales of Symphonia, Fatal Frame, Front Mission, Story of Seasons, which is just a remake of the GameCube Harvest Moon games, Rune Factory 3. Those are all just remasters of games that we've seen in the past. Most of them aren't really new. Tales of Symphonia has been on the PC for quite a long time. None of those are first party games either, by the way. Um, that said, a few of them aren't the end of the world, like Front Mission. If you like strategy RPGs, nothing wrong with it. It's a good game. Crisis Core Remake is going to be pretty decent. Crisis Core is a great Final Fantasy game, especially if you like Final Fantasy. Um, the farming and sim games too, Harvestella, Fae Farm, Rune Factory, like all that. There was a more diverse showcase in Nintendo Force of like newer games coming out. And I don't know why I have to go through through a third party source to find some of those games. There are plenty of games that are actually, by the way, if you haven't checked out Nintendo Force before, highly recommend it. Um, it's basically Nintendo Power, like straight up one of my favorite magazines. And like I said, lots of games in there that if I relied solely on Nintendo to give us information on, never would have even heard of them. Let's see what else. The other thing too. Oh, Legend of Zelda. So everybody's been waiting for like the Twilight Princess Wind Waker combo release. Um, and I have too. I'm not gonna lie. I think we got. I feel slighted, to be honest. The 35th anniversary for Legend of Zelda came and went last year, like that silent fart you let out in a meeting that nobody wants to acknowledge, but it still stinks. You know, like Skyward Sword HD is the only game that I've canceled a pre-order on. We got three like console generation defining classics with Super Mario 3D All Stars, and they literally just gave us an afterthought for our 35th anniversary for Zelda. Um, that said, like the Wii U being a failing console as it was, Nintendo's made more money off the ports they've sent in for other games coming onto the Switch from the Wii U. That there's to me, it's a no-brainer why they wouldn't do Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Like, are they waiting for like the Switch Pro or for that to like go to the next console? Like, it'd be easiest for them to just port them onto the Switch. It's basically the same as the Wii U. It's the same console, almost, almost the same. I won't say exactly. They even treated Kirby the same. Kirby, what was it? Something into Dreamland. I'm not a big Kirby guy, so I don't really know. Um, that was basically the same thing. They remastered an old Kirby game, or older Kirby game, and just put it onto the Switch like it was nothing. So I don't know, but you know, if it isn't Mario, then I guess Nintendo doesn't care, which I don't get because like Pikmin 4 is coming. Give me Metroid, seriously, Metroid Prime 4. I have a bit of a script here, so I'm just kind of reading off a little bit key points, but I'm trying to do it much off the top of the head as I can. Pikmin actually as well, with Pikmin 4, from what I understand of Pikmin, I've never played the games, is that it'll be on a much smaller scale than Breath of the Wild 2, so the fact that, you know, we didn't get that long of a trailer probably doesn't mean as much because it's probably not as large of a game to have to worry about. Breath of the Wild 2, by the way, is no longer called Breath of the Wild 2. It's been officially named The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And it looks like a game. There's a lot of hype behind it. It was a 90-second trailer, 40 seconds of which were hieroglyphics on a wall. After that, we got about 20 seconds of it. The fan base ate it up because, again, the dog that likes to get kicked. And half of that was just Link falling or climbing. We didn't really see a whole lot of gameplay. It still doesn't look bad. I still really I enjoyed Breath of the Wild immensely when I played it. I'm still gonna get it. I'm still a dedicated fan. Um, but I want some more gameplay. It seems like they're trying to put in like a Skyward Sword kind of vibe because Nintendo has this thing where we get remakes and then after like later we get a game release that takes place in the same kind of theme or vibe. Like we got the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl remakes. And then what, a few months later, Legends Arceus came out, right? And that was in the older version of the Sinnoh region. So having Breath of the Wild sequel kind of be in the same vein, but maybe a bit more vertical, really. Uh, you know, I think it's pretty good. I'm still excited for it. I will say though, I'm pretty sick of how they format these the release dates now because 5/12/23, depending where you live, that's May or that's December. That's a long time. It should just be you know, they should just say the date. Be way better. I believe in this case it's a May release. Uh I get that, yeah. I guess kind of just to cap this off because I think I've talked through pretty much everything that I've got. You know, just to recap, like a lot of the things that we saw, Nintendo had this big, huge direct, and almost none of it was actual Nintendo games. There were ports, remasters. We had, I think, maybe somebody's gonna correct me on this, but I want to say we had 3 or 4, maybe, big announcements that had not been seen before, and the rest of that 1 hour, roughly 1 hour direct, was ports, remasters, uh, more info on old announcements. Nothing really groundbreaking. So I understand that Nintendo's trying to push the Switch to become this like all-encompassing console. But really, I don't know when, you know, gaming became more about money than fun. I guess with the rise of content creation and all that stuff, it just kind of made a lot of the industry focused on the dollar signs. With we got lots of games, microtransactions, early access to disguise a game being unfinished. And I I miss Nintendo. I don't think the Nintendo that we're dealing with is the same Nintendo that we were dealing with 10 years ago. Is a bit better. I mean, the Switch has almost been out for what, 6 years now, and before that, the Wii U kind of fell off pretty bad. Um, but I really hope that like with this next generation coming up, because Nintendo's usually see, I don't know how console generations work, but Nintendo's either usually pretty ahead of the generation, like one of the first consoles to come out, or they're behind. I'm not really sure, but I really hope that Nintendo steps up with the next console generation and really brings some fun back into their games and their industry and some more faith to the fan base, um, by bringing back some of these the old franchises. F-Zero, um, Mario Party DLC. Like a lot of people were expecting with the new Super Mario Party, I think it was called, for there to be DLC to bring back some of those old games that weren't in there originally. But now they're just bringing the old Mario Party games back onto Switch Online. So I don't know. I really hope that they kind of step it up in the next generation and just bring back a lot of those franchises that everybody's hoping for, and you know, give us fun again, and not just try and bring all these other games to the console that people can play in other places. So, but that's all I have to say on this. I've been wary. I know everybody's just gonna say I was just complaining about Nintendo stuff for the last 10 minutes, but you know what? It's important to me. So I will see you guys next time.